Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. The other day I went to the tackle store and I got about 8 hard baits, some crankbaits and a couple spinner baits. I got some terminal tackle, not a lot, and I got about 6 bags of plastics. And I got a little custom tackle box for my terminal tackle that I switched up. And I went up to the cash register and, the lady's ringing me out and she's like, "Oh, you going on a fishing trip?" And I says, "No, I just like to stock up so I don't have to come so often." And I didn't get a lot. And she brought up my total and it kind of threw me back in the seat and it made me think how expensive it is to do such a simple sport that's enjoyable and how expensive it has gotten since I've been a kid. I went home and my wife says, "How much did you spend?" And I told her. And she's like, "You're killing me." It made me think, when I was a kid, just starting out fishing, we didn't have what we have today as a beginner fisherman, whether you're 10 years old or 50. Today you have YouTube, you have the internet, you have, social media, and there's a lot of information out there to help you start fishing. So all we had was, watching whatever, fishing shows we could grab on TV, and basically you had, Cabela's or Bass Pro Shop. I don't know, I think I saved up about 15, 16 years old. I did a large purchase to Bass Pro Shops. And, at that age, it was a really large purchase. And still to this day, I have some of those baits. Now, I want to go over with you guys if I was on a budget, my wife cut me off, or I was just starting out. I want to talk to you guys about what first initial setup I would get to be on a budget, and I know I can go out and catch fish. And you can do this for about $25 to start. Now this doesn't include your your rod and reel. That's all, whatever you guys can afford. But I want to talk to you about the setup I would use today, or if I was a beginner fisherman, if I was on the budget. So this is it, the Texas rig. You can see I have a little bit of a larger profile worm on here right now. I got a 5/0 hook and I got a 1/8 ounce of a weight. So if I was gonna pick any bait or any setup to use as a beginner, it would be the Texas rig. You can start out, and I would suggest starting out with at least 1/8 of an ounce weight, bullet weight. Whether it's tungsten or lead, I would probably just start with lead because it's more, a little bit more cost effective, and I still buy lead. So I have a 1/8 lead weight here, bullet weight, and I also have a tungsten version in black. So I would start out with at least a 1/8 ounce weight. So get a bag of weights. You're looking about $3 or $4. I would start out with one size hook to start, and that would be the 3/0 EWG. The 3/0 size is a good size to cover a majority of your bait. Even that large worm that I have a 5/0 hook on right now, I would start out with a pack of 3/0 hooks. So, the hooks are important. You can get inexpensive hooks, but I use the Gamakatsu. Everything I talk about in this video, I'm not sponsored by anybody, is just what I suggest and what I've been using for a long time that I feel confident in. So you want to spend the money on the hooks. So like a 5-pack of 3/0 Gamakatsu hooks, and I'll leave the links in the description below of the stuff I'm talking about today. It probably about $5, $6, so you got a pack of weights, maybe a 3 or 4 pack, or even a 5-pack of weights. Let's say you can get a set of lead weights for $3, $4, so that's 4, we'll say, and a set of 5-pack of hooks, we're gonna say it's about $5, so that's $9 right there. And I want to try to keep this all under $25. This way, if you're a younger kid or a younger fellow, it's easier to go ask your parents, for a little bit of money over a large amount of money at one time. You're set to go with just those 2 items. Now, this obviously doesn't include your rod and reel or line. You don't have to have an expensive rod to do this, but if you are capable, I would spend the money on a good quality. If you can go straight fluorocarbon to start, you can get a good 300-yard spool for a reasonable price, about $8, $9. But we're not going to include that in the cost of the $25. I just want to talk to you about the tackle and the setup I would use. Now, your soft plastics, you can rig up so many different ways with just having a Texas rig setup. You can use a worm, you can use a creature crawl, you can use the fluke. I mean, it's endless. But you can see the majority of my baits I have down here are Z-Man, and the reason why I like to use Z-Man is because the price you pay for this bag is the same price you pay for this bag, and it lasts longer. You'll catch more fish off of one bait without it ripping off. A lot of times if I catch, I may be able to get a couple fish off the Zoom, but if I usually can catch 3 to 4, or even possibly I've even went all day on one bait from Z-Man and caught over 10 fish before I had to change the bait out. So, you know, that's why I like using Z-Man products. Do I use other products? Yes, I use Zoom, I use Berkeley. You know, there's so many soft plastics out there, but I want to just go over like at least 3 baits that are like $5 to $6 a bag. So you want some type of worm, you know, whether it's a smaller version. I like to use the Mag Fattyz. They do make a version called Fattyz, which is a little bit smaller, but I do like to use a worm a lot of times on my Texas rig. And a worm, you know, they have ribbon tails out there, they have a whole bunch of stuff, and I would suggest definitely getting a worm as one of your baits that you want to use. Second, I would get some kind of paddle tail or a swim bait. So as you see here, I got the Minnows from Z-Man, and I got the Zoom Super Fluke. You know, these are 2 baits that you can either just cast out and swim in very easily, or, you know, with the Zoom Super Fluke, you can, you know, you can swim it, you can jerk it. Same thing with the paddle tail, you can do the same thing. So some kind of swim bait is what you're going to want to use as your second bait. So you got the worm, you got the swim bait. Last but not least, you want to get some kind of a creature crawl. Not particularly this one, I'm sorry, I apologize, I didn't have my bigger ones with me right now. This is the TRD crawl from Z-Man, but this is more of like for their net heads or for you know, like a small trailer on a jig. But you want to get a creature crawl. You can fish these under docks, you can fish it on top of lily pads and let the weight, you know, fall in between the pads and they'll sink down in between. Fish these finesse, you can fish them on the bottom, you can fish them around structure. You know, these are 3 baits that you can, it's very versatile. You can swim them, you can fish them around structure, you can fish them in open water, and you can fish them as a slower presentation. So, you know, the Texas rig is a very versatile setup, and all you got to do is you can keep the same hook, you can keep the same weight, but you can change the baits up and change your presentation. So it's only costing you about $25 to do this. You know, you got 3 bags of baits, $5 each, and you got your hooks at $5, and you got your weights at like $3, $4. You know, maybe even $5. So that puts you about $25. And if you do have a little bit of extra cash, you know, the first time out going to purchase these items, I would get some bobber stoppers, which is basically a pen, which I'll show you in a second. You know, they call them bobber stoppers, but it's a peg to be able to peg your bullet weight to the bait. So that helps you, you know, when you're fishing around cover through the pads, it almost acts as a jig because that weight's right by the hook, and it's almost like the head, like a weighted head of a jig, and it's not getting hung up, and you can peg that weight. And this is what it looks like. It comes on like almost like a little key ring. You know, you slide your, there's a video, you know, there's lots of videos out there on how to install these, but basically you slide your line through this open little hole here, and you pull this weight out onto the line, and that's how it gets on the line. And you have to buy them per like the size diameter of your line, but then you could slide these, you know, close to the weight, and it'll peg it close to the hook. Or if you want to go back without removing the weight, or you know, without removing the actual peg, you can just slide this up the line, and it acts, you know, then your weight will be freely again. So you don't have to take these off, or, you know, tie off, you know, or cut off or retie, which is a good thing. So this is an extra little bonus that I would get if you can, you know, if it's in your budget the first time out. And go on, you know, YouTube, go on, you know, the internet, and you'll see how to install these and how to really use these and utilize these. But it's just a little extra thing I wanted to throw into the video for you guys of an item I would get for the Texas rig setup. Now, you know, the Texas rig setup, you can also fish weightless, so you don't have to have the weights to start. You know, with or without the weight, you know, it changes the cadence, it changes the speed, and it changes the presentation of the Texas rig setup. So I'm going to leave links below in the description of a couple different soft plastics that I like. From Z-Man is my primary choice, and I will put a link to you know, some kind of weight if you guys are looking for a in particular weight. You know, I'll put a weight down there of something that I like to buy. I mean, VMC makes weights, a whole bunch of people make weights, but I'll put a link in the description below so you guys know what you're looking for. If you not have ever, you know, if you've never fished before and this is your first video seeing, you know, almost like a beginner setup. But I'll put the link for the weights. I'll put a link for the hook from Gamakatsu, the 3/0 EWG, and I'll put you know, maybe 5 or 6 different soft plastics from Zman that I like and that you guys could pick, you know, whatever you guys can afford out of that group. Or you can go on Zman's website and check them all out as well too. Or anybody, you know, Berkeley, Gulp, whoever you guys want to look at. You know, if you got a local tackle store, they may not carry Zman. You know, so if I was on a budget, my wife cut me off. I just gotta give her a hug and a kiss, and usually I can get some more out of her. But if I was on a budget and I had, you know, and I was restricted per month what I could buy, I would primarily spend the money on the Texas rig terminal tackle and soft plastics. You know, it's a bait that you can fish around the world all year round, no matter the conditions, and you will catch fish. It's an amazing, simple setup, but with just changing those soft plastics around, you can have a whole different presentation. So I hope you guys got something out of this video, you know, especially if you've never fished before and you're just looking, what do I start with? You know, there's a whole bunch of information out there from a whole bunch of different people. You know, I would start with the Texas rig, get yourself a rod and reel, you know, what you can afford, and then slowly start building your arsenal up. You know, I would get with, you know, start buying some 3600 or 3700 size tackle boxes for your weights, you know, everything else. Keep your soft plastics in the bags that they come in. I suggest doing that, especially Zman, they actually tell you that. But, you know, you can get yourself a little book bag, or you already have a book bag. You know, you can use it during the week if you're a kid, you know, to go to school. Then at the end of the weekend, when you're ready to go out, go fishing, you can clean out your books, throw in a, you know, a tackle box, or keep your hooks and, you know, your soft plastics in the bags that they come in, and just throw them, you know, throw them in your back pocket or throw them in that book bag. You know, and as you build your arsenal, you don't have to go out and get a specialty tackle box. I've been through them all, and I'm done with tackle boxes. I just keep everything in containers, and that's about it. I keep all my soft plastics in bags, you know, and just, you can get binders for them, etc. But I don't want to get into all that and confuse you if you don't know what I'm talking about. So I hope you guys like this video and enjoy fishing. It's a great sport if you've never done it before, and you're gonna love it. And, you know, even though I'm talking about Texas rig setup for bass and stuff, you're gonna catch other fish on this. As always, guys, protect yourself from the sun, stay safe on the water, and thanks for watching. See you next time.